You ever wake up to the kind of knock that makes you think you're either dreaming or about to star in the worst home invasion remake of all time? Because that's how my Tuesday started. 4:41 in the morning, pitch dark. My ceiling fan making that lazy tick I never bothered to fix, and someone rapping out the most smug little rhythm on my front door. Not frantic, not desperate, just three neat knocks, pause, three more like they'd rehearsed it. That's not the sound of an emergency, you know? That's the sound of somebody who already thinks they're in charge. So I'm lying there wide awake, adrenaline lighting up my spine, counting ticks on a wall clock like a kid timing a bomb. I'd owned that house for 10 years. My name on the deed, my hands on the locks, my memories in every room, even if I'd only been coming back now and then since my job took me halfway across the state. Never sold it, never wanted to. It was still my place. My responsibility kept the water trickling, lawn mowed bills, paid just so it wouldn't turn into a mausoleum with a mortgage. But the knocking just keeps going, three, pause, three. By the time I'm shoving my legs into jeans and tiptoeing down the hall, I'm whispering to the floorboards not to give me away. I check the peephole, and what do I see? Two silhouettes in HOA windbreakers. One tall and rectangular, looked like he bench-pressed filing cabinets for fun. The other short, wrapped in a scarf, clutching a clipboard like it held the nuclear codes. I crack the door but leave the chain on because, well, I wasn't born yesterday. The big guy starts in. "You're not supposed to be here." And I'm thinking, really? At 4:41 in the morning, you're going to come at me with that. So I say good morning to you too. Unless this is a fire, you might want to come back at a reasonable hour. The scarf lady leans in, lipstick, perfect smile, sharp. "We've had reports of trespassing. This property isn't occupied by the legal owner." Now, I'll admit that hit me sideways for a second. I laughed a short, loud burst, couldn't help it. "Because I own it," I said like I was explaining the alphabet. "I'm here for maintenance mail, the usual. My house, my rules." The guy Clint his badge said community compliance, which, if you've ever tangled with an HOA, is code for has whistle. Will Power Trip pulls out the badge, real official. The scarf introduces herself as Daphne, board president, with a tone that says I should be curtsying. She starts lecturing me about rules for vacant homes, security patrol noticing lights on, accusing me of trespassing on my own property. And I'm standing there thinking about their security, probably the neighbor's kid in a golf cart, listening to Spotify and waving at squirrels. "Look," I say, "this is my house. I've got the key, the deed, the paid-off mortgage, because, surprise, it's mine." Clint's jaw is working overtime. "We've checked our records," he says. "Title changed to a trust 4 years ago. The trust isn't you. Now, if you've ever set up a living trust, you know where this is headed." "It's my revocable living trust," I tell them. "I'm trustee. I'm beneficiary. It's perfectly legal. But I'm not showing you paperwork on my porch in the middle of the night." I remind them they have zero authority to demand entry or wake me up at this hour. "That's what police are for," I say. Daphne narrows her eyes, trying to stare me into a confession. "We need to make sure there aren't squatters," she says. "Well, save yourself the trouble. I'm not a squatter, and you're not coming inside without my say-so. If you think I'm trespassing, go ahead, call the police." She smiles, all paper cuts and cold coffee. "We are the law here, sir. And that, let me tell you, was the last straw." "No, I say you're a homeowners association. You write up trash cans and mailbox colors. You don't decide who owns a house, and you don't show up at dawn just to try out your badges." I told them I'm calling 911. So I dial, making sure the camera on my porch gets the whole scene petty. Maybe. Satisfying. Absolutely. Dispatcher answers. I explain what's happening. 2 HOA reps at my door claiming I'm trespassing, demanding I leave my own home. "Can you send an officer?" She tells me to stay inside, don't engage. Fine by me. 10 minutes later, blue and red lights start painting my living room walls. I open the door, hands visible. 2 cops, one older, relaxed, the other younger, trying real hard to look unbothered. I'm the caller, I say. "This is my place. They say I don't live here, want me out. Daphne starts waving her clipboard again, blabbering about how I haven't lived here in years. Title change, trespass, blah, blah. The older officer keeps it calm, sir. Do you have proof of ownership? Absolutely. Deed from county trust documents. My ID all match. I'll pull them up on my laptop. The officers come inside Daphne and Clint, left cooling their heels outside. I show the papers, the deed, with the trust, my ID, all the dots connect. The younger officers reading, the older one nods. Looks legitimate. I finally let myself breathe. I tell them, this can't keep happening. They can't just bang on my door before sunrise and demand I leave. The officer gets it. He says he'll talk to them, make a report so there's a record if things escalate. We head back to the porch, and the officers calmly explain to Daphne that title disputes are for courts, not board meetings. And if she thinks there's fraud, she can file a report, but telling a homeowner to get out without a court order, that's harassment. Daphne's face folds up like origami. I ask, who tipped you off? She glares at Clint, who just mumbles about anonymous neighbor tip. And I could have just let it in there. But when someone swings at my rights, I plant my feet. I'd like to file a report, I tell the officer. Harassment, trespass, attempted unlawful entry. Daphne starts sputtering about not actually coming inside, but I remind her 4:41 a.m. claiming you're the law here. She tries a last-minute pivot. You're in violation of the long-term vacancy rule. We can fine you. We can put a lien. I cut her off. I'm here intermittently. The house is maintained, cleaned, yard done. If you want to talk vacancy, we can do that during daylight hours and in writing. The officers finish up, everyone leaves, and I just sit there too wired to sleep. Brew some coffee, stare at the deed, wonder when community became code for committee with a tape measure. 8 o'clock, my phone buzzes, unfamiliar number. Some guy named Orson from the management company calls, says he heard about an incident. I keep my voice cool, tell him his board president and compliance officer showed up before dawn accusing me of trespassing. He tries to smooth it over. There's some confusion about ownership. I shut that down. There's a recorded deed. Any questions, send them in writing. If you think there's fraud, file a civil action. But you do not threaten me on my porch at 4:41 in the morning. He shifts gears, talks about fees for vacant homes. I tell him I pay my dues, my yard is up to code, I'm in compliance. If you want an inspection, give proper notice. And I expect an apology for last night. He says, you're very passionate. I say, I'm very awake. We hang up both, pretending to be reasonable. That's when I start my list, what happened, what they claim, what the law actually says. Then I get to work printing deeds, trust docs, HOA records, even photos of my yard with a newspaper for proof, camera screenshots. Draft a letter, cease harassment, demand for policy, formal notice. I call for the body cam footage request, the 911 call. Before lunch, there's a sticker on my mailbox, HOA notice of fine for failure to notify Association of Occupancy and Safety Concern. Potential lien. I peel it off, slap it on my yellow pad under evidence of retaliation. And here comes my neighbor, Mrs. Paloma Gray Bun Cane, tapping, carrying her own crumpled HOA sticker. They told her to take down her accessibility ramp for an event. She filmed them late last night, heard them joking about her ramp. We're not children, she says. We know our rights. We sit there, neighbors in the same mess, listening to the bugs and the world waking up. She tells me how things changed when Daphne took over, how safety started. Meaning whatever Daphne didn't like, how people moved. Because their kids played drums or someone had a short-term rental. I tell her about 4:41. She pats my hand, says, good. You called the real police. Next day, Orson emails, we apologize for any inconvenience, wants a meeting at the clubhouse. I say, my porch noon, bring your proof. They show up, Daphne in bug-eyed sunglasses, Clint trailing Orson, sweating. I say, I'm recording this. Show me your proof. She hands me a printout showing the trust's mailing address, not my name. It's a trust, I say. I'm the manager. I'm the owner. This is basic stuff. Orson tries to blame optics, and I tell him, your optics knocked on my door before sunrise. I filed a records request and I'm prepared to comply you into exhaustion if that's what you want, but if you want to play sheriff, I'll see you in court. Daphne brings up rumors about me running short-term rentals. I laugh. Never have. Jules across the way has, and you all ignored it. She says, "Are you threatening the board?" "No, just promising to use the rules as written." Orson says they'll drop any fines pending, just need to confirm I'm not vacant. I'm here intermittently not vacant, update your files. And you are not to set foot on my porch without notice again or I'm calling 911. After they leave, I update my yellow pad. What I can do, what I will do, what will happen. Special meeting recall. The board gathers signatures, share the body cam, hire a lawyer, audit, the management company. The petition hits the signature threshold. In a week, people are tired of being bossed around about shutters and chalk drawings and early morning visits. Daphne tries to schedule the recall vote at a time nobody can attend. I point to the bylaws, weekends or evenings. She grits her teeth and moves it to Saturday. The night before, someone leaves me a fat envelope of invoices, circled, annotated, double-billed, no board approval. I add financial audit to my list. Clubhouse is packed for the vote. Daphne tries to hang on to control, but the signatures are there. New slate wins me a teacher, a software developer, a nurse. Our promises, transparency, education before penalties, no more late-night power trips. When we win, Daphne cracks her gavel, resigns on the spot, calls us corrupted by populism. Clint storms out. Orson sits frozen. We pass new resolutions, legal compliance, independent audit, reverse, unfair fines, apology to members, and a strict no late-night enforcement rule. That night my house feels lighter. Not changed, but set right. A week later, a law firm representing the old management company threatens to sue for defamation about the overbilling audit unless we extend their contract. Our new attorney just laughs. They're bluffing. Let's audit. Our independent CPA finds all the rot emergency visits billed at midnight, duplicate invoices, no board approvals, even a payment to a consultant tied to an insider. We terminate the contract, file complaints, and discipline the former officers. Mrs. Paloma's ramp stays. Theo parks his work truck. Kids draw chalk dolphins across the sidewalk. No more fines. The old board's intimidation gets cited by the city. Their appeals fail, their records stained. Jules moves out the neighborhood, sighs in relief. And my house, the one they tried to make me feel like a stranger in, becomes a home again. I swap out the fan sleep through the night, host a backyard lemonade night, and welcome the neighbors. Every story, every struggle, all of us together. Months later, the city's case wraps up, fines, bans, reforms. At our block party under the new string lights, we hang a sign, no clipboards unless you're making art. That's how you reclaim a place, not with anger, but with truth and consequence. So if anyone asks why I came back after all those years, I tell them because it's mine to care for. When someone tried to write me out of my own story, I answered with law light and a whole community behind me. And now if someone knocks on my door at 441, it's just to borrow a ladder for a squeaky smoke alarm, and you bet I'll bring it with a smile. What would you have done? Let it slide or fought back? Drop your stories below about justice, overreach, or just plain weird neighbor drama. And hey, don't forget to subscribe because there's always another tale waiting at the end of the block.